There's a massive move incoming. With this signing of a veteran linebacker, the competition for that position from rookies to NFL veterans is only growing. This could be the end for certain players on the team, or for others, it could be the beginning of a very successful career with the Bills. My name is Maeve Miller. I'm a part of the Bills Digest team, so please subscribe to our Bills Digest YouTube channel for all the latest updates. First, I want to talk about that player, which is Shaq Thompson. And Thompson has made a name for himself in the NFL. He was originally drafted in 2015 for the Panthers, and he spent the entirety of his career there up until now. And so what's kind of funny is that at the time at the Panthers, Sean McDermott was the defensive coordinator, and Brandon Beane was general manager. And now he's coming back to the Bills, where McDermott is the head coach, and Brandon Beane is once again the general manager. And he definitely had an impressive career with the Panthers. He is the fourth all-time leading tackler for them with 470, and he put up good interception numbers over the years. But he wasn't like the flashiest like star player, but he definitely just was very versatile and experienced, which goes a long way, especially with the Bills' defense. It's just nice bringing a player that has that veteran like playoff experience. He's been known to be a leader, and at the time, he was the defensive play caller for the Panthers. And coming from a linebacker room that is a little younger, it's going to be nice to have a player. We don't know what his role will be. He's probably not going to be a starter, but it's nice to have a player that can maybe be like more of a mentor for them. And even Sean McDermott talked about Thompson. He said, when you talk about a player that can play more than one position, you talk about a player that can help create a certain toughness or bring a certain toughness with him, a nastiness to a defense, to a team. He's all about the right stuff as a player and a person. So I feel like that was a very glowing recommendation from McDermott, even though Thompson only spent a year with him at the Panthers. He got to kind of learn McDermott's defensive style, which is great because I feel like the defense is very much like a big part of the Bills, and McDermott likes a certain kind of player with a high IQ who's willing to just put his body on the line, give it his all, and can also play in a lot of positions. And from that quote, we can kind of tell that Thompson doesn't just do one thing. He can be very versatile and flexible, which is a very good thing for the Bills. I think he's going to fit very perfectly with them. But there are some issues that came up. He is 31 years old, and when it comes to defensive player where you have to be very tough in that position, I think that's a little bit of a problem. And the contract was only 1 year, so that's why it's very low risk. If it doesn't work out, then it's only 1 year, and if it does, great, sign him for another year. But also he was coming off a couple of injuries. He had a torn Achilles last season, and the season before that, he broke his fibula. So then there was some concerns over that. But as of right now, I think it's nice to have another linebacker just for insurance purposes if one of the starters does get hurt. So I'm definitely excited to see what happens with that. But going off of that, I want to talk about what this means for other linebackers. Specifically, I want to talk about Balen Spectre. He's a fourth-year player, and he was actually called out on Sports Illustrated by Ronnie Eastham just about what his position and role might be in the future. He said, this could mean the end for Spectre, who is set to begin his fourth season with the Bills. Spectre's career is littered with injuries, and when on the field, he has been somewhat of a liability. Speaking of injuries, McDermott announced that Spectre was not participating in minicamp at the moment due to another injury. So I bet this quote definitely describes Spectre and just kind of the issues that we have with him. I think I can definitely agree with the liability part because when he did have to go on the field as kind of a backup, it didn't always go well, and it's not as trustworthy of a player compared to guys like Milano or Dorian Williams or Terrell Bernard. So I just think that there's a lot of competition going on for that position, and right now it doesn't seem like Spectre might be in that top position. And I believe that the starting three is kind of solidified with Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, and Dorian Williams, like I said. And Milano is also most likely in his final year with the Bills. But I'm just a huge Milano fan. I think he's a great player. And even battling a lot of injuries in the past and getting a little older, he still really puts his all out there. And he's a fighter. He makes good plays. And so I'll be sad to see him go because I feel like that's kind of inevitable. But I hope he has a really good last season with the Bills. And that kind of shows that Spectre, especially with them bringing in Thompson, it doesn't look like he'll be in that position. Yeah, like I said, he's not in minicamp. And just in the last couple seasons, he hasn't played in too many. His rookie year, he played in 6 games, and the next following was 9 games, then 11 games last season. So he's definitely been increasing, and he had the highest amount of tackles last season with 40. So he's definitely making improvements, which everyone can appreciate, but I just don't think that this is going to be the year for him. And I just think in general, the Bills, they need to kind of bring in maybe some younger linebackers because I feel like with Milano gone and you're adding in Thompson, who is in his 13th season with the season in the NFL. I just feel like the strategy for that in the offseason wasn't great. The Bills didn't really focus on the linebacker aspect, and I agree that they had to focus on things like the cornerback and offensive and defensive line. But I think this is a part where the Bills might be lacking a little bit. But yeah, right now, like I said, Milano, Williams, and Bernard are hopefully in the top 3, and I'm just hoping the defense plays well, because that's kind of been our lacking part compared to the offense. And I think with minicamp and training camp coming up, it'll kind of weed out who's going to be playing, because we also have Joe Andreessen, who, Buffalo Joe, we love him, and he's also second-year player. So I think there's like some rookie or younger players and some veterans, and hopefully that we can get the gap lessened and just have some good players. Like Thompson maybe can be more of a mentor for someone like Joe Andreessen and Dorian Williams, and he might not play as much. But it's nice that different players can rotate in. And yeah, we can see what happens with that. But next, I just want to talk about minicamp participation, because McDermott kind of came out with a statement recently about that. And he said that there are 9 players that are currently out and will not be participating in minicamp. And that is due to, prior injuries that are maybe more minor or coming off of rehab or surgeries. And this camp is 3 days long, and it's just kind of like getting the Bills kind of started. It's not training camp yet, but it's getting things kind of moving. Different players are dressing. But the players that he said at this point are KJ Hamler, Taron Johnson, Cam Lewis, Connor McGovern, Joey Bosa, Balen Spectre, Cole Bishop, and Damar Hamlin. And he also said Shaq Thompson. I feel like this list was a little bit worrying, because I feel like players like Cole Bishop and Damar Hamlin are fighting for that same position at safety, and that's a very key spot where the Bills are kind of lacking. We have Joey Bosa, who we just signed and is very injury prone, and everyone warned us about signing him because he is so injury prone. And of course, he's out right now. And other players like Taron Johnson coming off of surgery, Cam Lewis. These are all got defensive backs that we really need to get healthy. And obviously, we still have time. It's only June. Season's not even close to starting yet. But I think this is a little bit worrying, and I'm hoping that everyone will get better soon. And McDermott even confirmed that all are expected to play, get into training camp, and these injuries will not be lingering farther into the summer, which is very hopeful. But Thompson, it said he was in uniform, but he did not practice on Tuesday, but he did confirm that he'll be ready by training camp, which is very exciting to see, because it's interesting what the linebacker depth chart will look like once the training camp begins. I'm definitely excited to see what the defense does. Obviously, our offense, I have the utmost confidence in. Defense, a little lacking, but with all these offseason moves and training camp, and I feel like there's been a lot of good publicity about what different players have been doing, I'm excited to see what happens. And I think the defense, if we get that a little bit stronger, could be what we need in the future. Thank you for watching, and once again, please subscribe to the Bills Digest YouTube channel, and go Bills.